Hi, Elena. You've changed the name again. Elena, change the name. What have you done? Yeah, I can see that. Can't hear you though. I'm sitting on the backup computer. That's a good turnout. Wonderful. Rizwana, nice to see you. Do you want to give me a sound check?
Hi, hello everyone.
That's pretty clear. Cool, cool. Right, I think everyone's here. Turn out today. We'll get underway. Recording is on. Okay, we're ready to go. So, I'll share the screen in a little while. You can move the webcams around if you want. So, I'm Nicolas David Ngan of the Centre for Conscious Ascension, and this webinar is about how to help others transmute their karma into the gifts of service with a soul contract reading work. This is really for the benefit of the guys who watch us later on YouTube, so I've got some context of what we're doing. Okay, and what we're going to talk about is the following. I've noticed that, and you may have noticed as well, is a lot of people turn away from the biggest karmic challenges they face in their lives. Some of you may be therapists. How many of you guys are therapists here? Or practitioners? Yeah, and no matter how hard they try, it's just too painful for them to face some of their big challenges, which is good for you guys in terms of helping them out. And the main reason is they lack a spiritual map of life, of how to overcome them, or to find out what's really going on. So what we're going to talk about in this webinar is how to identify those deeply hidden core karmic patterns that are creating their life the way it is, and how we can go about transmuting them. Because underneath all that challenge and often suffering is the gift of service that each human being has, especially light workers. That special thing they've been looking for their entire life. So how many of you have felt that there was something special you were here to do from a very young age and you just couldn't quite get to it? That's me. I was looking for it and no one would ever tell me. School, university, work, they didn't have a clue. Then I realized actually no one knows what's really going on and no one's telling the truth. That was a conclusion I made as a teenager, and I thought there's something seriously wrong with this reality. What are these people on? Or what aren't they on? Something's really badly missing. So I used to spent my 20s searching for the real meaning of it and of life. And it wasn't found in any conventional institutions at all. I did a lot of traveling and spiritual journeying and workshops to try and find out what that was. And it wasn't until I discovered the soul contract reading work when I was 30, when I met Frank Alpha, the founder of this work in Phoenix, Arizona. And I learned this work from him and I had a reading from him that my life was revealed, and that inspired me to learn how to do this and bring it to the UK and turn it to its current form, what we call soul contract reading, to share with people. So it's been sort of my major passion for 30 years, this work. So what I'd like to do now, though, is I'd like to hear from some of you guys, as a part of setting the intention for this webinar, is what brought you here and what do you need from it? Because this is different every time we run one of these, depending on what you guys put into the intention, the group intention here. So just put your hand up when you're ready to speak. If you want to speak, you don't have to, or guys who are a little shyer, just put it in the chat and I'll read it out. It's better to hear it though if you can. Danielle, you're pretty quick out of the box. Off you go. So what brought you here, Danielle?
Hi. So I discovered the soul contract actually on TikTok a couple months ago. And then whenever I looked up mine, I discovered that I have a very difficult physical karma.
Yeah.
And I know that I can't be like the best mom and like the best version of me unless I figure out my own like stuff. Yeah. So I want to help myself figure out like my karma and how to transmute that into like love and light. And then I want to help my kids and my community. But it starts with me.
That's right, yeah. If you sort your stuff out, then your kids have a lot less of your stuff to process, so they'll get a better start. And then you're a good example for those around you. Thank you. All right, who wants to go next? Okay, Maria. I can't hear you, Maria. But click on the mic on the bottom left. Yep.
Sorry.
Also say where you are as well. Okay, say where you are.
Scotland. I'm Polish, living in the UK. Only moved from England in January. And now I'm in Scotland. So
Yep.
I've been working with my own soul contract for a while.
Yeah.
And what I would love to do is to teach others and open them up to their soul contracts and inspire them, because I'm 12-3, so I'm a learner and a teacher.
Okay.
And I've been through astrology and human design and gene keys.
Yeah.
Learning, and now I feel really passionate about I found your book only literally a week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm thinking of doing the training and becoming a teacher.
Okay. Sounds good. We never have enough soul contract reading practitioners. Faye, and then we'll have Rima.
Hi there. How are you doing?
You're somewhere sunny. You're not in England. Or...
I am. I'm in London, actually.
Oh, really?
I'm East London, but yeah, it's a bit of a sun trap on my balcony, which is glorious.
Yeah.
So I redid my soul contract back in March, and I'm looking at name optimization now.
Yeah.
In terms of karma, it was 5-5 for me, but my spiritual side is 9-9, so I'm doing a lot more on that. But as kind of COVID's progressed and as people are in that 3 to 5D kind of reality shift,
yeah.
There's a lot of people around me that I think could really help from transmuting their karma. So I'm here to kind of learn a little bit more about that today.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Rima?
Yeah, so I think just discovering my own soul contract kind of sent me on this path of, you know, spiritual awakening or whatever you want to call it. And I think I've gotten to the point now where I've been like researching and absorbing and reading, but now I need to take action. And I feel, you know, it's like, okay, I have all this information, like I know what to do, but I don't know if it's, you know, what's holding me back basically from that next step. I know it's myself, but so I'd love to just kind of figure out how to go deeper into the soul contract and like what to do with the information now that you have it.
Okay, thank you. And where are you?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, okay. All right. And Danielle, where are you? Just out of interest.
I'm in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, good. Intercontinental spread here, good. Who wants to go next? Okay, Sandrine.
I'll mute myself. So yes, I've been reading the soul contract Decoded maybe last month. I saw you on Gaia, and you know, like how life puts you like on the right path, and you start to think about contract and soul contract, and then you know I went through your book. All my life has been like a soul contract, understand myself and understand the world outside. And when I found that your book is just a brilliant summary of what everyone and each of us is experiencing in life, all the challenges, and how we start to be conscious about it, for me, it's just like an open door. So you just have opened another door that I want to discover, to be able to help others as well. As you know, as you learned about your own experience, you can see for far away the others' experiences, and we all go through similar path. So identify better to help myself and others is my goal today, to just curiosity as well, understand better.
Okay, and where are you?
I'm based in London, but I'm French and Spanish.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm from Europe.
Right. Wants to go next? Okay, Rizwana. Yeah, there you go. Try that.
Managed to unmute myself. I had my contract read quite a while ago, and I think it's one of those things where you get it read and you think, yeah, okay, now what? And I just left it for a while. And I had it read initially because I went into therapy. I went to go and see my therapist, and we were talking about certain blocks that I was coming up against. And she just turned around and she said, well, you know, I know this woman, she can read your soul contract. Why don't you get your soul contract read? It might tell you what your blocks are. So I thought, great. No, literally next day I made an appointment and I got my contract read, and it told me everything that I already knew, also told me things that I was currently working on. So with that information, I just thought, oh, okay, I'll just carry on as I am, and kind of left it at that. And then late last year, again, coming up against a block, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I just felt, let me just have a look at my soul contract. Let me look at the reading. Let me see what it says. And the lady that did my contract, I rang her up with a few questions, and then she said, why don't you go and get Nicolas's book? Might give you a bit more information. And literally since then, I haven't put it down. I've just, every time I've gone in the book, I keep finding something different, some more information. It's confirming to me that I need to explore, etc., etc. And then one day I was reading the back of the book somehow, just the little details, and I came across your website, and I thought, right, let's look at the website. And it literally happened so quickly that it felt a no-brainer, really, in a way, that to become trained in this. Being a therapist, it's going to help me inform my clients deeper level, using the model that I already do, because I use, as a psychotherapist, I also do EMDR. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. So yeah, so combining EMDR with looking at what the challenges are and what the goals are, I just got really excited thinking that I could really help my clients push through a lot of their goals and their challenges so much more quicker. So as well as them, my own. So yeah, so I'm here to just delve in even deeper.
Okay, you come to the right place. Yeah, this is a lovely framework for other therapeutic practices, whatever you're resonant with, to focus them in a laser-like manner so you can really get on with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it gives you the right timing, depending on which part, what is active in someone's soul contract, so you know what to apply. So you're not sort of using a sledgehammer, using a precision scalpel to take apart different programs.
Yeah. And it's interesting because one of my clients is having his read today, and then I'm going to see him tomorrow. And I'm really excited to find out what his numbers are and what he's been read, so that we can then begin to really, you know, dive in deep into that work together. So yeah, it'll be good.
Good, thank you. Elena? Have to unmute.
Hi, Nicolas. I'm in Colombia.
No. Elena, no, we have Elena in Chicago, then we have Elena in Colombia. Okay.
So I'm Elena in Chicago, and it's really interesting. I had my first soul contract reading about a year ago, July, and my life has just completely changed. I've always been in public education, languages, and culture. So teaching was predominant in my life, but I didn't know why. And I had studied evolutionary astrology and, like Maria, human design and gene keys. And all of those pieces were giving me aspects, but not the whole picture. So I have been working on transmuting the karma through divine healing, which is something else that Nicolas teaches. And I've recently gone through a name optimization. And so Elena Rose is the new name with new vibrations. But I think that clients who get a reading and show an interest in transmuting their karma are already halfway there. And that's got to be exciting as a therapist to work with someone who's so open to change. So I'm here to really learn a little more, Nicolas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Elena in Colombia, please. Never had two of the same name before. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Nicolas, hi for everyone. I didn't speak English so well. I understand, but I can speak. So I can share my experience in Spanish. It's okay?
Yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah.
Okay.
I will be able to translate.
Okay, we're going to translate.
Oh.
So that's fine. Thank you, Sandrine. Okay, so
Thank
go
you.
slowly, Elena, then pause to allow Sandrine to translate.
Ok, thank you. Yo encontré el libro hace tal vez 3 meses, luego de ver la entrevista que tuvo Nicolas con Regina en Gaia. Había pasado por 2 situaciones que me hicieron sentir una pérdida muy fuerte, entonces no encontraba la razón, no podía explicarme qué sucedió. Así que emprendí la lectura del libro, lo compré en Amazon, tardé un poco, puesto que el inglés no es mi lengua nativa, pero lo terminé, lo apliqué y empecé a entender muchas cosas acerca de mí, de mi contrato del alma, y a partir de allí he buscado más información, profundizar
Elena,
y
pause
un
there,
poco...
pause there to give Sandrine time to translate. You got to set
Okay.
sentence and then pause.
Yeah, she said that she read the book about maybe 3 months ago, and she was struggling a lot in her life. You know, she was going through life without understanding what was happening, coming from a lot of challenges, and she had the opportunity to see you in Gaia, and then this is how she get to know you and read the book. I'm unsure, there's one piece I'm unsure if she said she has lost people, you know, in this lifetime right now, that, like, you know, to overcome challenges, but it takes her sometimes to understand the book because English is not her natural language, but she's going through the details and that's helping her a lot. So for that, you know, she's very grateful. So she wants to learn more.
Okay. Elena, did you have some more to say? Just keep the video on, don't switch it off. So just continue. Was there something else?
No, básicamente es eso. Estoy en ese proceso de transitar por el camino que encontré a partir de codificar el contrato del alma, y también me ha servido para ayudar a algunas personas de mi entorno a entender que el karma no es un castigo,
Sí.
no es una condena, sino una oportunidad de evolucionar.
Sí.
Gracias.
All right.
She's saying that, you know, you help her to realize that karma is not a bad thing, you know, that lead to a good thing. And so she's learning and she's going through transmutations, as well as now she can pick up others' karmas to others. So I think same way than me, where, you know, she's discovering and she wants to go further and be able to help herself and others.
Okay, thank you, Sandrine.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay, who wants to go next? Okay, Amalia. Then we'll have Anne.
Hi, Nicolas, and
Oh, yeah.
hi, everybody. My name is Amalia. I'm sitting here in Lima, Peru. It's great to see someone else from Latin America in this group. It was great to hear some Spanish for a change. So, bienvenida, Elena. Es un gusto tenerte acá.
Muchas gracias.
So, my story is a little bit of a mix of what you guys have shared. I saw Nicolas and Gaia, so that triggered my interest. I went for the book. I read it, I understood a little bit more. Then I got my reading with him, my soul contact reading. And since then, I have to say it has been a sort of a life changer for me, completely, like upside down. So now I'm just trying to follow that information and use it and, you know, change my life and pursue my life purpose. And it's just been a fascinating trip so far. And I think that more good things are to come once you really, you know, embrace that and all the changes that are there waiting for you. So I could just say that it's an amazing journey. I'm super grateful, thankful with Nicolas and everything. And because of that, I just want to continue learning and hopefully, you know, try to help others, which is basically what I want to do now. It's just help others understand that they have tools, that they empower them to use them and change their lives as well. So again, super thankful and great to be part of this group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amalia. Anne from New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Anne from Newcastle, New Hampshire. And I was introduced to Nicolas and soul contract reading through a friend of mine, April, who took the divine healing class and then eventually went on to take, I think, soul contract reading. And I also took divine healing, and then one of our classmates, she had offered soul contract reading. So I had mine done about a month ago, and yeah, my life is in the throes of a massive change, massive. So it's going to be good. And I am just excited to learn more and follow my my soul's journey, and I want to help myself and others, be the best that we all can be. So
Good. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next? Okay, Claudia.
Hi. Well, I'm also Colombian, Elena.
Oh, we're getting very South American today. Very good.
Sí, soy de Colombia, but I live in Texas. I live in Texas. I also find about you in the Regina's interview in Gaia. I got the book, but I have to say that I already had found out what's my main purpose, not all of it. So I got the book, and I got the numbers for my name, and I had 4 options. So I'm going through that, reading quite slow, unfortunately, and figuring out which one is the more, accurate, I guess. I find out that book, the What is Light Body, and I'm going through that one before I finish yours. I'm sorry to say that I find that one incredible. So, well, I don't know what's gonna happen really, what I'm gonna do or anything. I really don't know at this point, but I'm glad to be here. If I have the opportunity to help somebody, definitely, I will take it.
Thank you, Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
Who else would like to introduce themselves?
Lonnie.
Aluna? Yep.
Just need to unmute myself.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm Iluna. I'm in Brighton, south of England. And about 6 years ago, I attended a lecture on soul contract reading in Manchester with Nicolas. And then I did my soul contract reading, and the circumstances in my life really needed to change, which they now have. And I'm going to start the refresher course, and I'm very excited about it, on the 1st of October, so that I can help people more, because I already do numerology, but I feel people are searching on a really deep level, and the soul contract reading is the thing that will help them the most.
Okay, thank you, Aluna. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? Okay, we'll start. Yeah, this time of Kelly, do you want to say something?
Sorry, I'm up here looking for 1,000 different things in my house. I apologize, everybody, but it's so cool to see so many different people in the world on this video. I'm calling from Florida. Sorry, I had to go outside because it's echoes in my house. I'm calling from Florida, and the reason why I did my soul contract reading with Elmira in 2017.
Yeah.
And my spiritual was 10-1, and there was another thing that was 10-1. And I am an empath, and I'm a tarot reader, and I'm a spiritualist, a BFOP. And I felt whenever she went through my soul contract, I felt a deep connection to it, and I even go back to it and return to it even today for an understanding of many different things that I'm going through in my life. And not even just in general, not even as just a spiritualist, but I'm trying to figure out something that is very important to me right now. Is my karmas that I've been going through have been very showing themselves brightly at this point in my life right now, whereas I obviously need to find a way to get through them. And I feel like as I go through trying to learn how to become a soul contract reader, as I'm just starting to begin this, because I feel like this might also help my clients as a spiritualist. I find that I need to figure this out for myself first before I can help somebody else. So I feel like I have to find a way to learn. I know this is a lifetime process, but my karmas are holding me back, and I don't like that feeling of being held back. And I want to learn how to do that for myself, to transmute these karmas for myself, so I can teach others how to do that as well.
Okay, thank you. Probably want to learn, if you've understood your soul contract, then you need a self-healing tool like we have Divine Healing to actually focus, or whatever self-healing emotional tool resonates with you, to actually focus on the particular aspect of your soul contract that's triggering. Usually there's one primary pattern that's going to trigger at any one time. The soul will rotate through your contract depending on what it wants to do. In a few months working, I don't know, on disempowerment, you're one around men, or feeling denial of God, or blocks to being of service with your spiritual energies. And you need a tool that you can regularly work on it as the issues come up, because the soul will, its aim is to work through all the aspects in the lifetime. It's, if you're lucky, even if you have the right tool, you can actually get through it a lot quicker by having the conscious knowledge of what's there, but also the conscious tool to actually apply in the moment. Because when a program comes up, especially your karmic patterns or your goal patterns in the contract, when it's up and it's causing the challenge or the pain, the suffering, that is the time to work on it, because the program is exposed and you can bring feeling consciousness to it. It's there as a gift to transmute. And then once that layer's gone, the soul will feel, okay, she's done enough of that, let's go and do something else. Then you'll notice the theme will change. But if we don't deal with the pattern, it just stays. And that's why most human beings who don't have access to this sort of work, they have enormous amount of suffering, as you've probably all noticed, in your own life and others. So the key is to try and dissolve enough of the ego construct created by the soul contract as it comes up. Then life moves to one of more grace and ease rather than endless challenge. So that's the key for doing that, I'd say.
I definitely need to figure out the tools that you were speaking of.
Yeah. I'll post a link for Divine Healing on the YouTube description. That's a healing tool, just briefly, that uses the higher self, which built you, designed your soul contract, enables you to peel the big ego onion created by the soul contract layer by layer as it triggers, and in the right order. So that may be something for you to consider. Okay. We've got a workshop starting on the 15th of October, if you're interested.
I am.
Yeah, because the two go together really well. The soul contract's the map, because as you've all discovered, now that you know what's going on, it helps a lot. You're not going around in the dark, which is very painful. And once you know what's going on, and you can see what's coming up, because you've got the book, you had your reading, then you apply your healing tools, like we use Divine Healing. Some people use EFT, some people use other forms of therapy, whatever you're resonant with. You apply the appropriate therapy, that layer's gone, you get on with life. Plus, if it's a karmic or goal pattern, the positive quality of whatever the issue was that you were suffering under comes a layer that becomes available to you. So say, for example, you found disempowerment, if you bring consciousness to it, a layer of empowerment will come to you. So this is the gift of service I was talking about at the beginning. It starts to come to you. So the more you turn into the patterns, which are creating the challenge, the more the gifts are going to come. And the more you become self-realized, and all the potential that we feel we can achieve in life, which very few people do, actually starts to manifest layer by layer. So it comes by doing the opposite of what our ego wants to do, because our ego is very pain averse, as you've all noticed, how much resistance we all have had to dealing with our stuff. By turning into that pain, feeling it and transmuting it, the gift comes to us from the last place we thought it would be, which is our karmic patterns. And then life gets easier. And so you're in the same space as most people who are usually suffering quite badly. And you're in a much more centered, connected space. And if you clear enough of the karmic and goal patterns in your life, you reach what's called a point of soul integration, where the soul has embodied enough and dissolved enough of the karma and transmuted it, that it starts to take over the life, rather than the ego, the avatar of our ego, running around doing crazy things and creating pain for us, which we've all been doing, especially in our early life. The soul starts to take over and is in charge, and the ego becomes the servant of the soul, not the other way around. Okay, and that's when life gets really interesting. That point is where life starts to manifest the good stuff. And that's where your ego is clear enough that you can embody more higher consciousness. And as that comes through a cleaner ego, because you've cleaned out all the negative, a lot of negative stuff in your contract, that starts to manifest by a lot of attraction of good stuff around you. Life gets a lot better. So you're all on a path of doing that process. So the more consciousness you bring, the better life is going to get. And then unimaginably good stuff starts to happen. But it's not you as a little personality in this body doing it. It's your higher consciousness coming through and projecting out to the matrix. Presumably you've all seen the movie. It's projecting out and creating a new three-dimensional reality around you based upon what it's really here to do. So that's sort of a big carrot I hang out for you there. Clearing your stuff leads to a much better life. Things which you may have thought unimaginable. I mean, I've been a full-time therapist for 20 years, and the majority of that, before the book came out, was barely making a living because I had so much disempowerment of 9s and unworthiness with 3, barely paying the bills, in fact getting into a lot of debt with credit cards because of my 3s. When the book came out, which was a positive expression of my 3s, and I was thinking, if I can sell 1,000 books, I'll be happy. Okay, if I can just pay my publishers advance back, I'll be happy. But then it just went mad and it took off. And then I've done 5 shows with Gaia. They flew me over for a couple of shows. They came to London to do shows. A lot of you seen the Gaia, and that was good fun. But that was just the universe. When you're in the right place and you clear enough stuff, it opens, doors open, things happen unimaginable, which are unimaginable, say, even a year before that. And now we teach global Zoom classes in this work and divine healing, and it's quite a different sort of life. I do only very few private sessions now because I'm too busy teaching. Because previously, I was just hoping, can we have enough people in the class to make it worth running it? Is there enough group energy? That's how it used to be for a very long time. So it wasn't always like this, but it's because I knew from the contract that if I stayed focused and worked on my stuff, I would get there, and that's actually what's happened. Okay, there's a whole bunch of Spanish here. This is Elena. Okay, I'll let you guys speak in Spanish on the chat. Okay, so yeah, I'd encourage you all to really just work on yourselves and stay with it, because the ego will tell you that you can't change anything. It will feed you a lot of rubbish into your mind of all the programs, a lot of mental chatter to try and stop you moving forward, because that's its job. So the key with this work is to focus on what is the positive quality in my contract that I want to manifest. And to move away from focusing on all the negative karmic stuff which you've had your whole life. We're all a bit like frogs in the warming water. It's all we've known as our karma. We're in a pool of our own karma. And that's all we know. And so you've got to focus on, well, you know what your contracts are now. Where do I really want to go? And focus on that. So what the key with this work is to starve the ego of your life force for manifesting more of the bad stuff. Because if you do that and you channel that energy into what you want to create, even though the ego is yapping in your ear, then you'll start to get that stuff, good stuff gradually happening. And eventually you get enough momentum going that your life changes more and more, despite the ego's best efforts, because its job is to keep you stuck where you are now. And if you let it, that's what's going to happen. And so the purpose of the work is to get unstuck and to manifest the greatest potential you all have. Okay, and leading to being in a space in life unimaginable, speaking from my own experience, and being in a much happier place and not being mentally and emotionally tortured by the ego. But it's only there because we had to have a sense of separation from Mother, Father, God when we first came here. We had to have a sense of separation. If we didn't, we wouldn't have the drive to find our purpose. We wouldn't have the drive to get back to God. Okay, what used to happen on planets like Earth is that everyone came into a body like this, but everyone remembered that they were part of the spark of the divine. So everyone just sat around doing nothing. No one grew, nothing happened. So the universal hierarchy said, we better rethink this process because it's not working. The creator, which embodied, we're all sparks of the creator, we embodied, and they realized, okay, we need something to motivate us as sparks of the divine to get back home. So they said, okay, we'll put everyone asleep. So they did. They put a veil up, which is called your ego. So when you come in here, you feel this is just I'm poor little me popped out in the world, 6 pounds, 5 ounces or whatever. And I'm a helpless little being and there's no God. I feel abandoned by God because God spat me out into this third rock from the sun. And now what am I going to do? Sound familiar? And probably some of you may feel like that. It's not on a bad day anyway. How did this happen? Well, you chose it. And so the point of the soul contract work is to understand what is the pathway to get back into full connection with Mother, Father, God, and the full embodiment and expression of your higher self, the way you were built. That's the point of the work. To become enlightened, if you work through everything in that contract, you become enlightened. That takes a lot of work, but at least very conscious. And to embody God consciousness, the higher self, and to express that in your service. That's the point of the book. I wrote the book because that's the book I would have liked when I arrived. And I was wandering around thinking, what the hell is going on here? Where's the manual? There's no book. So I wrote it. You see, guys like you, so you could work out how to bring your missions online. Because I was observing so many light workers arrive that had no idea how to get on with the mission because their ego construct has trapped them. So this is why this work is here. Okay. So that's the broad picture of why this work has come through, is so that we can all get home in consciousness. We can take all the learning of feeling this separate in consciousness from God back in consciousness to the source, to the creator. So each of you in your daily life is actually the creator creating. It's not some big white guy with a long beard in space. It's not the creator. You are the creator, embodied, having a human experience, but helping the creator's consciousness grow through each experience in your life. That's actually what we're doing. And so this process is about doing it more consciously and gracefully and joyfully rather than painfully. That's the point of the book. Any questions about that? I guess we just led into a summary of why we're here and what this is all about. So, Elena from Chicago, you asked me a question. Can't hear you. You Yep, now I can hear you.
You know what's interesting, Nicholas? I was playing around with that idea of Mother, Father, God having an experience as me. And I was driving in the car one day and I said, I don't want God to have a bad experience. I've got to change things around. It was funny.
Well, there are no bad experiences. There is no good and evil. Despite what you see going on in the world outside, there's only consciousness having an experience of itself at greater and lesser levels of consciousness. Okay, evil is just lack of consciousness. And this is just one great soul. We're all one great soul playing this out. It's just wanting to know itself. Sandrine.
I guess there's different level of consciousness. So when you you start to get rid of the layers and you start to look at your ego, you know, like you look at it but you're not into it. What would you say? Would you have a description of a different of consciousness levels or something? Is there different steps, or you know, what's the top? How? What's the top consciousness that we could be?
Yeah, there are many different levels of consciousness. Let me find a diagram to help you with that. Hang on. I'm going to look at my PowerPoint and I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Okay. Where does it go on? Here it is. I'm going to share a diagram now. I can just get back to you guys. We'll do you next. Elena, we'll do you next. We'll just finish this first, then we'll come to you, okay? Okay. So this diagram here is based on the work of a very famous book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. He was actually an enlightened master, but he was also a psychiatrist as well. And he used muscle testing, for those of you familiar with that. It's using kinesiology, where the body goes strong if something's true, and goes weak if it's not true, to measure on a logarithmic scale of consciousness all the different states of consciousness you could have when you're embodied. Okay, so he muscle tested thousands of people over many decades, and he wrote this book to explain what he discovered. And so these are the primary levels of human experience, emotional experience. You start with shame, which is very low, it's 20, guilt, grief, apathy, all the stuff you see out in the world. And it's quite extreme at the moment, doing a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to close the window because my neighbors are out the back. Yeah. And so, as we incarnate on Earth, we start at low levels of consciousness. And hopefully as we learn from that, because each time we come in, we will play out variations on our contracts. So the contracts you have now, you probably played them out dozens of times, just different variations. And depending on how you progress each time, you make a more refined variation on it. Like you could be exploring power or trust or love. And the idea is to, as you each time you incarnate, you move up the scale. The time of Christ, they're at about 50, which is why they have lovely things like crucifixion. Okay, the average level of consciousness on Earth is about 204 now. It's a level, it's just above courage. At 200, we have courage and a level of integrity. Below 200, people basically don't tell the truth, or they lie, to be upfront. They won't do what they say they will do, as you've noticed. Above 200, people will do what they say they do. They become more integrous. Life gets progressively easier the higher up you go the scale. So you get to neutrality, willingness, reason. This is where the great minds are. It's where science is. And then if you're on a spiritual path, you can get to love, joy, this is unconditional love here, peace and truth. And this is 700 to 1,000 is Christ, Buddha, Krishna. Okay, so this is God embodied at 1,000. It's like the Buddha and Christ. You can't go any higher in a body because you just melt. It's pretty tough anyway being in a body at that. But the idea of the soul contract work is that if you work through this stuff in that in your contract all the issues, you will rise in consciousness. Okay, and the idea is to get as conscious as you can with this. And what will happen is that the more conscious you are, the bigger what they call what's going to be attractive field of who you are. It will then transmute the negativity of all the people below you in consciousness. Doesn't mean they're less than you, they just chosen to be less conscious. And that's the majority of the world's population. So the reason we haven't blown ourselves up is because guys like us have been working on ourselves and holding a high level of consciousness. So the reason you're tired is because you're trying to stop these guys killing each other, basically, as they would have. If we weren't here, this place would have nuked itself in the 80s, quite happily. There would have been nothing left. Okay, nothing left. So this is actually wondering how you can determine where someone is. And so someone down here, I mean, do most of you feel like an alien, strangers in a strange world? In the majority of people, you cannot relate to. Okay, it's because you're up here, so you're resonating up here, and the majority of people are resonating down here. And if there's no crossover like this, there's nothing in common at a consciousness level to relate to. All right. So your job is to keep raising your frequency and hang out with people who are conscious enough, or at least there's a bridge like this. And then by staying in your own level of consciousness as you rise, you can pull them up with you. It's very important not to sacrifice yourself and try and be like everyone else, because it'll be painful, as some of you may have discovered, and it's not authentically who you are. And your job with your soul contract is to live it as authentically as you can, in truth, in love, and integrity, in service. So then you can help everyone else rise up in consciousness. We're in a great awakening at the moment in the world. Everyone's waking up to the truth of what's been going on in the world with the darkness that's been running the world for a long time. And so our job is to help those who are waking up to find out their path. People have been locked up a lot, and so they've been shedding all the non-essentials in life and getting into, well, what's my real purpose? That's where you guys come in. You learn how to do this. They want to know, Sandrine, what's my real purpose? Let's get on to what's important. Because a lot of the superfluous stuff is all gone. Okay, so this is our time really as light workers. People want to know about awakening. What's my path? How do I get on with it? It's very accelerated what's going on at the moment. So this is the soul contract helps you move up this scale of consciousness. I'll post this link as well on the description. Put a link there.
David, can I ask, or Nicolas, can I ask a question about the scale?
Yeah.
So on a micro level, you know, as you're kind of going throughout your day and feeling like, even if you're in a state of 400, 500, you know, love, peace, joy, obviously the lower kind of vibrations come into play. And I think that's where, like,
you move up and down in a given day. Okay. If it's a bad day, you might be down here briefly. You might be back up here. It just depends on your mood.
Is the transmuting, because I feel like the tendency is to say, oh, I'm not in fear or shame or guilt, and kind of mask it. How do you actually how do you change it? Is it just, okay, I'm going to be in love right now? Or like, what's the actual change? How do you make it? You've
actually got to bring consciousness to whatever's going on. The ego will try and mask, hide all the hard stuff. It's normal.
Right.
It will do this. So all your soul contract programs are the red stuff. And the ego will place a defense mechanism around it, emotional eye, and you can't feel it. It will numb you out. It's trying to stop you changing it. And by finding out what your soul contract is, you start to bring conscious awareness to what that is, and you start to break through the ego's defense mechanisms. And this is also through healing work. In the case of divine healing, we bring consciousness. We find ways of gently and gracefully breaking through the barriers to get into our soul contract issues at the right time. And then by bringing consciousness to the issue within the contract or the layer of the issue. This is breathing into it, feeling it. Then what happens then, and then asking, in the case of divine healing, the higher self to dissolve it. Because we felt it, all the soul wants you to do is to feel all the layers of your soul contract till it's gone, until you transmuted it, all the negative karmic stuff, into the positive quality that's in every number. That's all it wants you to do, because embodiment is the most precious thing for a soul, because the emotional intensity is the greatest. You might be thinking, bad idea. I thought it was a bad idea for a long time because it's so intense here. But the soul just wants you to be in your physical body, feel it all, transmute it, and into the higher consciousness. That's what it wants you to do. And the ego is designed to stop you doing that. And the point of that is so that to see, can you actually do it? Can you break through in the journey of going from the dark consciousness of our programs in the soul contract to the light, to the positive elements is the whole point of why you're here. That's why you're alive, to have that experience. Because the soul wants to have the visceral experience of going from the negative to the positive. And that's how the Creator learns through us. That's actually what's going on. Does that help, Rima?
Oh yeah, beautiful, thank you.
Okay. Elena, you got a question?
Thank you. Sandrine, can you help me to translate?
Yeah. Just say small
Me
chunk.
or Claudia? Or I feel Claudia or what's her name? Amalia can help better than me.
Okay, Amalia will translate.
Okay.
Okay. En el libro y en la entrevista él deja sentados dos conceptos. Uno que es el de integración, cada relación nos vuelve más íntegros, nos acerca a ser íntegros o a la integridad. Y otro concepto que introduce es el de la ley de los opuestos. O del opuesto. Lo que yo quisiera saber es si esa integración o integrarse se alcanza luego de, digamos, superar muchas encarnaciones, porque en el libro también habla de superar o que hay números que te reflejan que estás cerca de tu última encarnación. Es decir, si integrarse resulta de terminar la cadena de encarnaciones y si lo que sucede es que en cada encarnación tenemos un poco de esa iluminación, un poco de esa integridad. Y si no es así, si
Just pause there, Elena.
también,
Pause there. Let Amalia translate. Okay. It's a mouthful. Switch your microphone on, Amalia.
Okay. So I'll try my best here. So she was saying that both in the interview and in the book, you bring up two concepts. One of them is integration, and the other one is the lay of opposites. And actually, her question is around whether in each incarnation we make progress in each integration of integrating in each incarnation, whether that allows us to make like one step further and further until we finally reach the point where we're not reincarnating again. So she's a little bit trying to understand what is that process of incorporating, or the two laws of integration and the law of the opposites in that road towards improving incarnation through incarnation until you reach that point where you don't want to reincarnate or you don't need to incarnate again.
Okay.
¿Lo expresé bien?
Yeah.
Muchas gracias. Sí, está bien. Gracias.
Okay. So the law of opposites is what happens with your karmic pattern. You will get everything that is opposite to what you would have become. So that you decide, I really don't like feeling disempowered or abused or unworthy, in my case. And we will always move away from something we don't like. But I assume that I need to move towards it. And I got clear what I did want. I wanted to become empowered. I wanted to feel worthy, to be loved. I wanted to express myself in the world and empower others. So I as once Frank Alpa gave me my reading in 1990, I set out to work out how do I do that, and explored lots of different therapies and modalities to clear the disempowerment, which had created the unworthiness. So the two main law of opposite experiences were the formative pattern of me clearing the karmic, physical karmic 3 and the spiritual karmic 9 to get to where I am today. And if I hadn't understood that concept, then I would have avoided it and still be in a lot of pain 30 years on. And so I would work through it layer by layer. It took many years. I worked through it layer by layer. You clear a layer of disempowerment, I feel a bit more empowered, less pain. A layer of unworthiness then, and then gradually I would work on my way through. And so if you normally come to Earth 48 to 72 times, normally. You guys may come less. But the average humanoid soul comes here 48 to 72 times, because Earth is a school of learning. So you come here when you're ready. You can't come unless you match the frequencies of a civilization on the planet. And you will incarnate with different soul contracts. You'll come with particular themes in mind, because you may have been in another planetary system with a different sort of type of body, which has a different experience, because the different types of physical forms give you a different filter on reality. Okay, because the energy bodies are used differently. Everything's a little different. Most extraterrestrials look very similar to us, just different variations, especially in this galaxy. And so you would say the average human comes 48 to 72 times and has a plan, soul, to work through so many issues, and it'll probably follow similar issues. So if you look at your soul contract through many lifetimes, you probably find a lot of repeating patterns, but you'll see an evolution. You may start off with gentle issues of disempowerment and make it stronger and stronger to see how much can you actually work through. So it's going to stretch you a little bit more each time, and you at a soul level in between lifetimes will look down from the astral plane or higher, or the fifth dimension, and say, okay, I reviewed my life. We did pretty well on 80% of it, but there were some things I didn't quite get. So therefore, you'll build that in the next lifetime, in the next soul contract. The patterns will repeat in certain ways, but there'll be variations or expansions, and some things you've dealt with don't need to turn up again. So there'll be a whole sequence which you'll work through. And when you feel that you've done enough here, when you feel you're graduated on Earth, you head off somewhere else, or you may no longer need to incarnate. Some of you have only come here to incarnate because you volunteered. Sure, you have to put your hand up again, because you didn't quite realize what you're getting yourself into down here. We need to do to actually help out. Some of you came just to be a pure service, but you need to have the intense human experience. Therefore, you need to have karmic patterns to have that experience, so you know what it's like to be human in these types of bodies, in this type of system. Because only then, when you can relate to that experience, can you help others. Light workers tend to have a much tougher time than the average human being, because it's part of your training. You may not want to hear that. And your parents and your family are part of your training. Your parents weren't there to love you. If you got some love from them, then that's a bonus. They were there to train you. Because most of you probably feel quite alien to your families. It's normal. Okay? And Stork did drop you off in the wrong house, but actually it was the right house. Okay? I used to think that, who are these people? So, and that's part of the training. Okay? Does that help?
Thank you.
Rizwana,
Yes.
and then Maria.
It's just a question with regard to what about the people that come on who are on Earth that are like really super successful already, who seem to be having it all going their way. I mean, I suppose somebody that comes to mind straight away, somebody like, I don't know, Rihanna. She was, just a young girl in Barbados, for example, and now she's kind of like completely into the stratosphere. Got a lingerie business, got a makeup business. She's a superstar, and she's it all seems to have, she landed somewhere. So I mean, what does her soul contract have that, let's say, for example, I don't have?
Some people have a head of big massive influences And so it'll be built into them. It's planned to have massive influence on others. It's just part of their service. That's what these sort of people are here for. Okay. You probably wouldn't want her life because the pressures she will be under and some of the things she has to deal with.
Yeah, I was just thinking in contrast, though, really. You know, how some of these people seem to have everything, and some others seem to be working their socks off to do all the inner work and struggling.
Yeah, it depends where you are in the soul journey. For someone to have the impact like she's doing, you would have had to have a lot of lifetimes of really evolving yourself to better hold the energy of what someone like that does. It's not easy. It's very demanding. It's very, very demanding, and it's important not to look at it from just purely the material aspect. Okay. Having dealt with some of these sort of people as clients, it's highly pressured, highly pressured. It's actually a really tough life. Okay. Obviously, I'm not allowed to say. They tell me you can't say who I am or anything to do with this. But I've worked with some of these sort of people. It's actually very challenging. The pressure they are under.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
I would ever want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't particularly want fame in that aspect. But I was just wondering, okay, let's say they're not even that much of a superstar, but let's say someone who's, you know, I don't know, let's say, for example, I was in Bournemouth the other week and I was walking to the beach, and there were some of the houses that I was passing by, they were just phenomenal. And I was just thinking, what do these people do, you know, to have this kind of life or to be set up in this way?
They most light workers don't make vast material amounts of money because that's not what it's about. These people are here to learn the proper use of power, money, okay, authority, control, integrity, some of the pretty heavy duty stuff down here. They are in positions like that to learn how to use it properly. Knowing some of those people as well as clients, okay? So it's not always hunky-dory. Most of the time it's not from what they ask me to
what
say.
it seems. Oh yeah, absolutely. I hear about it all the time in my work. You know, I can be working with CEOs and stuff, and they'll be like, Riz, you know, I don't understand it. I go and change businesses and I take over business and I do all of this, but my intimate relationship is completely, you know, in turmoil.
Some of the most unhappy clients I have are the richest clients. And after all, I say, it's not about the money, Nicolas. I'd rather have a happy family.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's what they say to me.
There's a famous quote by Bob Marley. He said, some people are so poor that all they have is money.
Well, that's true. I've seen it for real.
Yeah.
I've seen it for real.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very rare to see a really happy rich person. Occasionally.
I'd be a happy rich person.
Yeah, but you haven't been, but it hasn't been, that's not going to happen in that way, you see.
I know.
In that way. It may happen in an evolved way. But it's the proper use of power. Money is power on earth. It's the way it's built.
Yeah, I understand. I'm being facetious.
I know. Right. Any other questions? Can I say a few things? Because we've got 15 minutes left. Claudia.
Yes, I remember when I went through your webpage when I was doing my chart. You have these different services, you know, for light worker. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between those? I was thinking I'm gonna take some, but what would be the one, you know?
I'll explain top level, okay? I'll put a link for this as well. So I want to talk about the training a little bit. There's 3 primary services we have. The soul contract reading is the spiritual map of life. So you figure out, what am I here to do and how do I go about doing it? Which is a good start. Most people don't have that. So we know what our soul contract is. You've all done yours. Then we have a thing called divine healing, which has multiple levels. And that was channeled by our mirror who developed the soul contract work with me. Okay, we used to run the Center for Conscious Ascension together. And the point of divine healing is to clear the issues you've identified in the soul contract. Because you've understood them, but now we have to clear them. And that takes quite a lot of time. Because if you can clear them and transmute them into your positive gifts of service, then life happens. And the 3rd strand of work is light body integration. I learned that from Toshiro Tachirin, who wrote What is Light Body. I trained with her. And that's about embodying the higher self, higher consciousness, through a clearer vessel, which you've cleared with divine healing, with a soul contract mapped to guide you. That helps you embody, removes the programs, beings, and structures that prevent you from connecting back to God. You embody, you open up to the higher consciousness, embody it, and when you do that, it expresses through you and it starts to manifest the true mission of what you do. It starts to manifest your soul destiny. So the key is to get clear with the divine healing and the soul contract of the ego, embody higher consciousness through a clean ego as much as you can. Then you have the life that Rizwana talks about, but in a more balanced way. Okay, that's actually how you do it. But you've got to do your work. There is no shortcut. But if you do the conscious work, then life can turn into something pretty amazing. That's the sort of summary of the work we do, really. We call it conscious ascension because it's about consciously awakening and ascending, but it's actually more about embodying who you truly are and expressing it. Does that help, Claudia?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I want to talk about a few other things with the time we have here left. So let me just talk about this. Where are we? Okay. Got to find the right place here. Okay. So some of you have expressed an interest in learning this. I'll talk about that for the last 10 minutes or so. So what this will allow you to do is, as a therapist or a coach or facilitator, is that it will give you an immediate and profound understanding of your clients' or your students' issues. So you're miles ahead in terms of helping hold the space for them. So you can guide them accurately and with the right timing when to work on things with whatever other tools you've got in your toolbox. It builds immediate trust with people because when you bring truth, which is at 600 on the David Hawkins scale, to a situation, it completely dissolves the ego defense mechanisms, which those of you therapists know are the biggest pain at times, the biggest barrier to progress. And because you've told the truth, and that high frequency of truth comes through, it just dissolves the defense mechanisms and you can get on and do some serious work with your clients. And therefore it produces better and faster results with the people you work with. Okay, and clients always like good results, and also it's giving you a lot more satisfaction as well because they're not struggling through this anymore in the same way. So in the training, we give a structure of how to understand yourself and your clients. And we spend the first 3 days using your birth charts to explain how the numbers work. So the book is based on the manual for the workshop, but there's only so much I could put in a book energetically, although it's pretty highly charged energetically. Basically, you get a full body DNA activation of the 22 numbers by listening to how someone's life, another student in the class, how their life turned out for their karmic 22-4 or their karmic 9. And as they share, usually the exquisite pain of it, you will never forget. And I'm transmitting, Antigone and I, Antigone helps me teach it, and transmitting what the number means. So it's going beyond just understanding the book to becoming the work. You become the work. This is experiential learning, the most powerful way to learn. So you spend 3 days becoming the 22 numbers. So it's not something you're learning and remembering, it's something you become here. And your channel will be opened up, you'll be connected to your soul contract reading team. So it's not just you doing this, you have a whole team of guides who are working with you and your client to actually help them awaken with this work. And people only come to this when the timing is right. Okay. So basically you're being immersed in the work for the first 3 days, and your body it's going through energy fields and your DNA. Then on the last 2 days, we teach you how to give readings. And you'll be surprised at how good the readings are you'll give, because you've started to become it. We teach you how to hold space to deliver this powerful truth. You give and receive readings in the last 2 days. And most people are pretty good at it, and you can leave and actually just start using it with a bit of practice. Okay. It's taken us 25 years to figure out how to teach this thing. So this is how far we've got with this. And we have ongoing professional development. We have this Facebook support group. We have this new thing called support programs, where we have a monthly support call. This is in addition to the class. This is a separate offering for those who want it. About a third or half the students do this, where as you start to take the work out in the world, once a month you can come for 1.5 hour call and ask all your questions. And so it saves him to guess what's going on. We help you actually get out there with your business, working with real people, and actually start to make it happen. And as a result of that, a lot of the practitioners are actually starting their businesses a lot earlier and are getting lift off now. That's what's happening. We've been doing this since the beginning of Easter. We started doing this. And your clients are going to feel the following, as you probably felt. It's a deep feeling of peace because they're hearing the truth of their life very profoundly and accurately for the first time usually. A relief that actually they know what's going on and there's some meaning to the craziness of their life. That's how I felt, and Frank gave me my reading. And it helped those who especially feel like victims of life, especially those with disempowering numbers like 9s or 10 1s or 5s, to take charge and to move forward from wherever they are in life. Because a lot of people feel life's done something to them and is still doing stuff for them, but this actually empowers people to actually take charge and change their life from wherever they are. And that can lead to a completely different life for people. And so you're showing them, we teach you how to show them where are they on that spiritual map of life, because the time dimension in the soul contract all depends on how far someone's worked through it. They may have worked through 20% of it, 50% of it, 80% of it. So you can show them how they worked through their life and how to align to their life purpose, or soul purpose. And it really touches people because the truth has been said for the first time, the thing they've been looking for their entire life, which is what I talked about at the beginning. So they will trust you implicitly, and so you can go very deep. And I've been giving readings for 30 years, and it still amazes me. It's my favorite thing to do, to watch someone awaken from this. If you want job satisfaction, this is pretty up there when someone wakes up. Yeah, you've got to study. You've got to work on it and practice. Okay, I already said all this. But most people practice a while with other people in each class, practice with friends, and they start giving readings to people. And with a support program, they get their confidence, and then they're out there doing it. And if you're already an existing therapist, you've already got your therapeutic training, how to hold space. So what we're actually doing is giving you a top-down, high consciousness framework on which to more accurately position your other therapies and processes, because you know what's driving your client, which is the core thing. What does the soul drive for the client? And this is what this is giving you. So you can see things which will not present themselves initially, but you can see what's in there. So when something pops up, when you're working with someone, you say, that's the karmic 9 turning up. So now we have to be careful because this is serious disempowerment, which was not apparent in the first 5 sessions of psychotherapy with this person, but now it's coming out. So it's very useful like that. So we have a lot of, we have psychotherapists, we have counselors, we have business consultants learn this stuff, and they adjust it and integrate it with your existing suite of offerings, okay? But it does change their practice because the practice becomes more focused, more efficient in terms of the way it works with people, okay? So any questions on the training? That's what we do for 5 days. That's level 1, and that's birth charts only. We cover relationships in level 2, name overlays, and business in level 3. Any questions on that? Maria, then Aluna. You have to unmute, Maria. Yeah, trying to.
Just a very quick question. If I don't make it now in October, do you know when will be the next training? Because I'm doing.
Let me look on my Google Calendar and I'll tell you. Okay.
doesn't have to be exactly. I just wonder how often you're doing them, like once a year.
I run 2 a year.
2 a year.
Run 2 a year. So the next one's 1st to the 5th of October. Then the next one after that, I'll find it for you. I think it's in March next year. Just got to get the Google Calendar to get to next year. It's getting there slowly. So the next one is provisionally the 10th to the 14th of March, if you can't make the 1st to the 5th of October. Okay, it's done on Zoom like this. It runs from 12:30 to 8:30 UK time. Okay, and the reason for that is so that in California, we run from California to the Eastern Bloc primarily. In California, it's 4:30 to 12:30, so no one has to fly anymore. I used to travel to the States to teach this. And then in the East Coast, it's 7:30 to 3:30. And in Europe, it is 1:30 to 9:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So, and I can only teach till about 8:30. So we found the optimal time window that works for the majority of people. Although we get people from Australasia and India, and Japan sometimes as well. Okay. I think someone else may have joined here. Just a sec. It's okay. Yeah. All right, and we had Aluna, you had a question. You have to unmute, Aluna, can't hear you.
Are there still case studies to be done?
Yes, you still have to do case studies where once you get out with real clients, we have a case study questionnaire, which is, the purpose of it is to make sure to train you further in the process of delivering readings. So to get to the next level, you've got to complete your case studies, and Tigani Langley, she marks them and gives you feedback. So it's not school, I'll say that up front. It's purely a learning tool where we give constructive feedback to make sure you grasp the process of delivering a reading. That's the point of it. It's not an exam or anything like that. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
If it were between the soul contract training level 1 and divine healing, like how do we know which is the right to go for in terms of where we're at? Is it more like if we haven't kind of gotten through ourselves, we should go divine healing, or what would you say about that?
If you're going to use it therapeutically, most of my guys, they do both at some stage, because it's whatever opens your heart the most, Rima. Okay, so you want to close your eyes and try each one on the dates and see which opens your heart the most. Divine healing runs 3 times a year. There'll be a priority from your soul, and you can know that. And most people learn one or the other, then they learn the other one when they realize they go together. So as a healing practice, you have the soul contract, usually what people come for initially. So then they find out what's going on. Then they say, okay, Rima, I know you've got this divine healing thing. How does that work? And then you say, well, we use that to clear everything we just talked about last week. And they say, okay, book me in, because now I know what it is. Let's get rid of it. That's usually most people's attitude, because they know it's all true. And so what that then does is build you ongoing repeat business, because they're not going to go to anyone else, because you know their contract and you have this powerful tool for healing. You're going to have people coming back pretty regularly. It doesn't take that much time to get busy with it. Okay. And you've got the divine healing to clear yourself as well. So it's a matter of what you're drawn to, really. What you're drawn to.
I was just going to say, I'm getting my divine healing done next week. So that's going to be quite interesting to see what that reveals in that sense. So, and I'm going to be on the training as well. So it's like all of this stuff is happening so quickly without it. And when it happens so quickly and so easily, it always informs me that the timing's right.
Yes, it means you're following the spiritual signature. You're following Rizwana, which is what you learn as you do this work. What opens your heart next is the next thing to do. It's not what your mind says. It's what the soul is telling you through the feeling in the heart. And if you follow that in life, which is what happens when you follow this whole process we've been talking about for the past hour and a half of clearing the ego. Life becomes graceful. Life just opens. The next good thing comes. You're not hitting the brick walls anymore. Okay, so your soul has a plan, and the higher self has a plan, and you're starting to listen to it clearly. This is why all these things are just opening up for you.
Can I ask another question that may or may not be related, or how it feeds into all of this? Are the Akashic records?
What about them?
How would that, I mean, could you still approach or read the Akashic records even in line with the work that we're doing here?
Well, the Akashic records are the record of each of the spark of the divine's experience as us embodied. It's the memory of the creator creating. Okay, so everything that you go through is driven by what happened in the past, because you review what's on your Akashic records each lifetime, okay, and decide what's the next incremental step so that I can become a higher frequency being. How can I bring a more unconditional love into me? So that's how the Akashic records fit into this. And so what's in the Akashic records determines what's actually going to be in the soul contract. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so Sandrine, you have a question about the mother letters of creation. You just want to switch your microphone on and ask me?
Yes, sorry, my video doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
In the book, there's 3 mother letters. There's air, water, and
Fire.
fire. Thank you. Are you going through all of these mother's letters through different lifetime, or not necessarily?
It depends
or
what
is
you,
it, yeah.
depends what you need. We talk about the tree of life, which is in the book, and how it works. It all depends what you need in a given lifetime. But if they start turning up, then it's indicating that some pretty powerful energies are needed, because and 3 mother letters are the initial outbreath of God in the creation of creation. So if you're embodying it, it's your soul's bringing through some really strong energies for the lifetime.
Okay, so you don't necessarily go through 1, 2, 3.
No, it depends on when you need it.
Okay.
Depends on when you need it. And the soul determines that with guidance prior to incarnating.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking that is because it seems that this is my last life incarnation, but the mother letter is 1, so the beginning of the creation. That's why I'm a little bit confused.
These are symbolic, okay?
Okay.
These are symbolic, don't take it too literally.
All right.
It's more a frequency that's creating a specific experience for you here.
Okay.
Okay, that's what it's doing, all right?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Maria?
I was wondering before about soul destiny in your profile. Do you keep the same soul destiny every time you incarnate?
You'll probably adjust it depending on how far you progressed in the previous ones. I don't have a means of studying a soul going through many lifetimes to see what happens. That would be very interesting to see, but you can be pretty sure that similar numbers will turn up though through progressive lifetimes, because some issues may take 9, 10, 15 lifetimes to work through. Okay, because
also my birth name, my dad forgot to add 2 middle names when he went to the office. So officially on my paper it's just Maria and my surname. And I actually looked up today with the option with 2 other names, and soul destiny is the same, but all the other numbers codes are different. So because I was actually wondering before, somebody with the same soul destiny codes, but different challenges and gifts and talents and goals, would their soul destiny would they be working it from a different angle, like with different energies of the same numbers?
It's no accident your father did that, because your soul probably wanted to have only 2 names, but it wanted to have what's called an overlay effect of having 2 middle names in there. That's what we cover on level 2, how different names we use affect us and fuse into the birth name. Okay.
So because I've been going after the name on the paper, on the certificate.
Well, that's the one that matters. Yeah. Occasionally there are accidents, but not that often. Okay. So just to finish off here, so if you're interested in coming, the deposit is £250 or about $325 US. The total fee, including the deposit, is £652 or $850. And you can just go to soulcontractreadingtraining.com to register. Okay. There are, we're nearly full, just so you're aware of that. So we're nearly at the we're pretty much at the waitlist stage on this. But you never know what will happen. Sometimes, well, some people don't decide to postpone or drop out. Occasionally that happens. We teach it on Zoom. We teach about 4 1.5-hour slots approximately, and we use Zoom breakout rooms. So when you practice, we put you in Zoom breakout rooms, so you have virtual privacy. And then I go around and Antigone go around, and we supervise you when you have questions, so you can practice in quiet. But normally we spend most of our time in this main big room like this. So you just need to be in a sort of quiet space without kids or animals running around too much, because it's a very powerful transmission, and you would also need to preferably not be working either end of it, because you may not make it, okay, and have a couple of days off afterwards. It's very strong, because you're basically going to be receiving the transmission of 22 frequencies of God for 5 days straight. And at the end, you probably want to lie down, okay? And you'll learn an awful lot about yourself in the process, but you also get cleaned out of a lot of programming simply because by being in the transmission for that long. Okay, so it's a more energy experience. It's not about learning more, it's about becoming it. That's about the best way I can describe it. Any final questions, people, before we go? I've really enjoyed this. This has been quite a different sort of webinar because you were all up to speed. We had lots of good questions. It's different every time when we do this. No more questions? Okay. Oh, someone else just dropped in at the last minute. Yeah, Patricia. Okay. Amalia, you're going to ask me a question. Your hand's up. No? Okay. All right. So hopefully we might see some of you sometime on the training. I will get the video processed. It'll be up in a couple of days on YouTube, so you can watch it. Plus, I'll put links of the things we discussed. Okay, and you can always email me any questions from the Zoom email I used. If you have other things you want to talk about. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.